Marcus had been a maintenance technician on the Perseverance for 7 years. He'd unclogged oxygen filters, replaced faulty quantum processors, and once spent 3 days hunting down a rodent in the ventilation system. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for what he found in sublevel maintenance Sector 7. The thermal readings had been anomalous for weeks. Captain Morrison had finally authorized a full-hull inspection, and Marcus had drawn a short straw. He descended through the narrow maintenance tunnels with his scanner, flashlight, and a thermos of cold coffee, expecting to find a busted coolant line or maybe corroded wiring. Instead, he found a cathedral of ice. The entire sublevel had been converted into a cryogenic chamber. Thousands of heating elements maintain a precise temperature of -40 degrees Celsius, and arranged in perfect geometric patterns across the floor, stacked in reinforced columns that stretched toward the ceiling, were eggs. Dragon eggs. Marcus's scanner fell from his trembling fingers. Each egg was roughly the size of a basketball, its shell a deep crimson with veins of gold running through the crystalline surface. They glowed faintly under the cryogenic lights, their inner structures casting dancing shadows through the translucent shell. He counted the columns. 20 rows. 25 eggs per row. 500 eggs. His first instinct was to report it. His second instinct was to touch one. The eggs were warm, not hot, but distinctly warmer than the frozen air around them. He could feel a heartbeat through his gloved hand. A slow, ancient rhythm, like the pulse of a world beneath the world. Marcus pulled up the ship's manifest on his scanner. The entire sublevel was registered as hazardous materials storage, classified. No details, no owner, no point of origin. His security clearance was level 3. This information was sealed at level 9. He returned to the surface shaken, but he didn't report the discovery. Not yet. Something in him recognized that this secret had been kept for a reason, and whoever was responsible wouldn't appreciate loose tongues. That night, he broke into the captain's office. It wasn't difficult. He had maintenance access to every door on the ship. Marcus found the file buried in encrypted files marked with a Draken Preservation Society seal. His hand shook as he read. The dragons had gone extinct 300 years ago on their homeworld, hunted to oblivion by a rival species. But scientists from the Draken Preservation Society had managed to recover 500 viable eggs from cryogenic archives buried deep beneath the planet's surface. The Perseverance had been hired as a courier ship to transport them to a newly terraformed sanctuary planet where the species could be reborn. It was the most important cargo in the galaxy, and Marcus had found it by accident. He descended into sublevel 7 every night for the next week. He talked to the eggs, told them stories about Earth, explained the concept of a second chance. It was foolish and sentimental, but something about the eggs called to the part of him that had always felt out of place in the harsh, sterile corridors of starship life. On the 8th night, one of the eggs began to crack. A thin line of light appeared down its center, golden and warm. Marcus watched in awe as the hatchling worked its way free, its tiny wings unfurling like origami made flesh. The creature was no more than the size of a cat, its scales still soft and wet, its eyes, when they finally opened, a brilliant amber that seemed to contain ancient knowledge. The dragon looked at him, really looked at him, and Marcus understood. He found Dr. Yuki Chun, the ship's biologist, in her lab just before dawn. He told her everything. She listened in silence, then followed him to the sublevel. When she saw the eggs, tears streamed down her face. "We need to wake them all," she whispered. "They're not meant to sleep forever." The cryogenic stasis was only ever temporary, a way to preserve them until we found sanctuary. "But the society isn't here," Chen interrupted. "We are, and we can give them what they were meant to have." Over the following weeks, Marcus and Dr. Chun worked in secret. They carefully warmed the eggs, monitored each hatching, cared for the newborns with meticulous devotion. The dragons were intelligent, far more so than anyone had predicted. They bonded with their caretakers, learned basic commands, and displayed personalities as distinct as fingerprints. When Captain Morrison finally discovered the operation, she should have been furious. Instead, She watched a hatchling curl around Marcus's neck, its scales shimmering with contentment, and she smiled. "We're not making it to the sanctuary planet," she announced. "We're taking a detour. These dragons deserve to fly under a real sun before anything else." Marcus held his hatchling, which he named Ember, and looked out at the vast cosmos beyond the viewscreen. Somewhere in the stars, a dead species was being given a second chance. And somehow, he'd become its guardian. Not bad for a maintenance technician who'd simply been doing his job.